Hey, folks. Dr. Joe here. Glad to be with us today. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Out of which my producer there, Allison, give me a thumbs up to make sure the camera was rolling. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to talk today about the secrets of staying young. What is it that makes the brain stay young and function in some people, but doesn't in others? We're going to talk about that today. And the things you can do, of course. Now, if you have any questions, we do two 24-minute segments. So I'll do a 24-minute segment. You go ahead and type any health questions you have in whatever platform you're on. Send in the questions. At the end of 24 minutes, I will take a break, answer your health questions. I'll do another 24-minute segment, take another break, answer your questions again, and we're done for the day. So it's a very simple, easy process here. And as always, you're going to get a ton of information you never got anywhere else. So, all right. You ready, Allison? Got to give me my timer there. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Thanks for being with us today. Now, today, we're going to talk about the secrets to staying young. Now, we've all known people that have aged gracefully. They're sharp, they look good, they don't have a lot of wrinkles. And then you see other people, and you go, oh, my gosh, they look horrible, and they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s. And so we're going to tell you the secrets, what science has shown, that works so that you can become part of the former group and not the latter group. I want you to stay young. I want you to be healthy. Life is limited. Nobody gets out of here alive. But we can really enjoy it. And that's my goal. My goal is to enjoy it as long as I possibly can. And there's a lot of little secrets, science as well as personal experience, has shown that work really well to keep you young and keep the brain working. So one of the things that happens, and I've talked about this many times in different ways, but now I'm going to put it all together for you, is something called advanced glycation end products. What the heck does that mean? Advanced glycated end products. These are what happens when you cook animal products. I'll talk about it in a second. And it affects the brain. Now, there's a lot of studies out there that plant-based foods improves your physical health. But there's less known about the relationship between plant-based foods and your mental health. There are studies out there, which is kind of cool. Now, in terms of preventing Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, there's data that those who consume meat, including fish and poultry, because people say, well, that's chicken, it's not meat. There's data showing that there's 2 to 3 times risk of developing dementia compared to vegetarians. So those people who eat meat have a 2 to 3 times increased risk of developing dementia than those who don't eat meat. So that alone should be enough research for you to say, maybe there's something to this. There's about, what about day-to-day function as well? Not to mention, greater adherence to a plant-based diet is related to better performance on all cognitive tasks, and that's what research has shown. So your brain works better when you eat a plant-based diet. It really is just that simple. Now, one possible mechanism, because again, I always want to know why, one possible mechanism could be that people that eat a plant-based diet aren't as fat. Now, I used to be fat, so I can say the F word. They're not as fat. They have a lower body mass index, and that's associated with better brain function. But they still found a connection between plants and better brain function even after controlling for weight. So we thought, okay, well, they're skinnier, but what about skinny people that eat meat? Well, that's exactly the same thing. Another possible mechanism is inflammation. If you're eating a lot of saturated fats, we've done studies on rats, and we know it impairs their memory because the brain can become inflamed. Now, fiber, which you can only find in plants, not found in animal products, is anti-inflammatory, and meat is pro-inflammatory. That can help explain some of the effects of plant-based diet on health and cognition. So it could be weight, but they took that off the table. So it could be inflammation. And inflammation is a key. Every disease known to man has an inflammatory component. And every disease known to man can benefit, maybe not be cured, but benefit from reducing inflammation. Now, you can get inflammation from your diet. You can get inflammation from physical issues. For example, if I have bones out of place, pinching nerves, well, that can cause inflammation. If I sprain my ankle, there's inflammation. Well, if I sprain my neck, my back, there's inflammation as well. So there can be chemical inflammation, there can be physical inflammation, and it can be environmental inflammation. If you're using a lot of perfumes, hairsprays, colognes, carpet cleaners, air fresheners, all these things can also contribute to inflammation. And so that's an issue. And then as we get older, of course, we don't have the ability to fight inflammation like we used to. For example, you've probably heard me talk about nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels and increases circulation, which can then decrease inflammation. Well, as you get older, your body's ability to produce nitric oxide drops. And so that's one of the reasons why when you get older, there's a much higher incidence of high blood pressure, because the blood vessels aren't as open as they used to be, and you have issues. Older people get cold. I mean, there's a lot of jokes about that, senior people putting on sweaters because they don't have the circulation that they used to. And so something like nitric oxide can solve a lot of problems. And circulation, of course, to the brain is important. And so if you take a nitric oxide supplement, like I do every day, that can help increase circulation up to the brain. Pretty cool stuff. So we want to take care of the brain. That's what I'm getting at. So saturated fat is another connection. Saturated fat appears to extend to every part of the body, too much saturated fat, including brain function. So they did a review, 9 studies, and they found increased saturated fat, which is mostly found in meat and dairy products and junk food, is associated with a 40% increased risk of cognitive impairment. That means your brain not working right. And nearly 90% higher risk of Alzheimer's. So if you're eating animal fats and saturated fats, you're increasing your risk to get Alzheimer's by about 90%. That alone should be enough information to get your attention. I drive to work, and I go down this one back street as I'm coming to the office, and there's a senior housing center there. And I've been there before. I gave a lecture there one time, and it was a pretty big place. Well, there was all this land next to it that they used as a parking lot, a lot of trees there, and they cut it all down. It's maybe 2 acres, and they're building a memory care center. Millions and millions of dollars in profit is going to be made in this memory center. And yet no one is talking about what we can do to prevent people from having to go into memory care. We all talk about, well, it's there, it exists. It's going to be about $10,000 a month probably to take care of somebody. So $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year, probably minimum. I'm going to guess it's even higher than that, to take care of somebody with memory issues, yet nobody's talking about what to do about it. We are. I can't say nobody. We are. So saturated fat, direct correlation. High fat not only impairs your heart, but also impairs cognitive function. So if we want to keep the brain young, we've got to make sure that we're putting the right nutrients in and not putting the wrong nutrients, I'll put that in quotes, in. They did this study. Men were randomized for just 5 days of high-fat, low-carb diet and on a lower-fat diet and on a low-carb diet. And then they did tests. They did cognitive tests to see who has suffered impairment issues, speed, mood, things like that, within just days. Conclusion: raising the level of fat in your blood not only decreased energy production to the heart, but reduced cognition, which suggests that high fat is detrimental to the heart and the brain. Another study done. Pretty clear. Now, we were thinking the impaired energy production may be what accounted for brain dysfunction, but these glycotoxins, these called advanced glycated end products, really were one of the keys. So if we're looking at advanced glycated end products, and it's funny, if you take the letters of each one, advanced glycated end products, it spells age. It's kind of neat. There's a class of oxidant stress-producing agents, free radical promoting agents. It's implemented in diabetes, it's implemented in aging, and that also includes now brain issues like Alzheimer's and even stroke. Now, the development of Alzheimer's in the first place is thought to involve the accumulation of these advanced glycated end products. I'll say that again. Alzheimer's disease is thought to involve the accumulation of the advanced glycated end products, which encourage the formation and the deposit of what we call these Alzheimer markers. There's tangles, there's protein, amyloid plaques and protein that builds up in the brain, and we discover that on autopsy. So if somebody has it when they die, we can cut their brain open and say, yep, there's the amyloid plaques. This person had Alzheimer's. But it's not just full-blown dementia. Evidence suggests that these advanced glycated end products and cognitive decline across the board. So Alzheimer's is just one kind of dementia. There's different types. So dietary advanced glycated end products are associated with decline in memory, and modifying the levels of advanced glycated end products in diet may be relatively easy to fix. It's so easy to not develop these advanced glycated end products. And the reason is, where do we get them from? Meat, when it's cooked in a high dry heat, such as broiling, grilling, frying, and roasting, that's when you get the advanced glycated end products. And so cooking meat many times is the thing that creates these advanced glycated end products, and there's saturated fat in the meat, which causes cognitive decline as well. So we go very clearly into this knowing that animal proteins are the issue. Cooking them in certain ways makes it worse. So if you were to boil meat, you wouldn't develop the advanced glycated end products. If you grill the meat, you do. Okay, and you also create something called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are chemicals that are released when the meat is cooked. It's the thing that makes barbecue smell so good. And they also, if you look at the grill marks, those are called heterocyclic amines, which are also known carcinogens. So we've got the saturated fat, the style of the cooking of the meat to create these advanced glycated end products, which affects the brain, and then polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons that also can lead to cancer. Wow. I don't see a lot of positive impact of you eating these animal proteins. And not only associated with Alzheimer's in the first place, but also the progression of Alzheimer's. So not only could you get it, if you continue eating that, it's going to progress. And so I've been to senior housing developments before. I've been to memory care centers before. And I look at the diet, and I say, wow, these people, what they're feeding them not only may have led to their health problems, they're just making the problems worse. And I'm working now with a group of senior housing developers, and they want to change senior housing. Now, am I going to be the person to do it? I don't know. I hope so. But I said, how unique would your company be if you actually had meal plans? Because I spoke to one of the directors, and they said, we have chefs and cooks, but we don't have dietitians. We prepare food that people will eat. Doesn't mean it's good for them, it means they eat it. And I remember being there a couple of times, and it's Bob's birthday. And so they have cake, and they have cookies, and they have diet sodas, and they have cupcakes. And each time I was there's a party going on. Because they had a lot of members, and so somebody's birthday was always popping up. And they said, well, we use that as a reason to have a party. Get everybody together, we celebrate, hey. Because they look for activities for these folks to do, especially if they're in senior housing and assisted living. They don't have much of a life of their own, so they try to create events for them. And one of the events they create for them is a food party. Well, they're making the problem worse. I said to them, how easy would it be if all of your on your workers, on your bottom line, on your profit, if everybody in this place was 10% healthier than they are right now? And the one director rolled her eyes and she said, oh my God, that would be a dream. If we had to do 10% less babysitting for these seniors. I said, I think 10% is minimum as far as the results I think we can get. Then we add things like chiropractic care to it to mobilize the joints, increase circulation to the body, give them more mobility, less risk of falling. So we're putting together a whole protocol for this senior housing group, and hopefully they're going to say yes. If not, I'll go somewhere else with it, because we can change the way seniors are taken care of. Because everyone listening right now is eventually going to end up as a senior, unless you're already a senior, and we want to make sure we're getting you the best possible care. Because I want the best possible care when I get to that point in my life. And right now, that care doesn't exist as far as we know. So we're going to work on that. But anyway, I digress. That's not today's topic, but that's what I want to talk about here too. So the advanced glycated end products are not only associated with aging, but they can actually lead to it. And what's really cool is that if you have a lot of advanced glycated end products, they actually fluoresce. And you can get a special detector, enabled a special non-invasive technique to actually scan it over somebody to see if they fluoresce, to see if they've accumulated a lot of these advanced glycated end products. No blood work, no needles, no x-rays. If you have this product in your body, it actually changes your skin tone. And you can use a special monitor to monitor that. Now, the more meat you eat, the more the advanced glycated end product skin autofluoresce. You get more of it, which then correlates with cognitive impairment. you can actually test the skin to see how the brain is working. Now, since meat is a high advanced glycated end product food, it should not be of no surprise that the advanced glycated end product skin autofluorescence measures are significantly lower in those eating a plant-based diet. So if you're eating a plant-based diet, you're going to have less of this fluorescent glow, and the brain is going to work more efficiently. So one of the secrets to staying young is to not poison your brain. And the way we do that, one way, is to avoid the advanced glycated end products, which comes from grilling and dry cooking meat. Now, even if you wet cook it, like I said, if you boil it in a stew, you're still going to get the saturated fat, and saturated fat clumps your red blood cells together, and if you clump the red blood cells together, you can't carry oxygen as efficiently, and so that can make you very tired. Now, as we get older, we don't have the energy that we used to. I can vouch for that. But that doesn't mean you have to give in. You can do a lot of things to slow down that aging process. How about less wrinkles? How many people would like less wrinkles? Raise your hands. Now, a lot of you may be too young to realize it's an issue, but you will wrinkle. All of us do. And so a fun fact, I'll give you a fun fact, then I'll go to reason what about wrinkles. I read a study, and it was really cool, and they found that if you eat a few dates, those fruits, can significantly reduce the duration of labor during childbirth and improve the progression of labor. So something as simple as eating a few dates when you're in labor can make it easier and less stressful for the mommy, less stressful for everybody else, but most importantly, less stressful for the baby. How cool is that? And they did a study on peanut and date snacks that they made. And they were surprised, I was surprised when I saw it, that the benefits were there. Now, they said it could have been attributed to the nuts, but it wasn't because they used peanuts. And so then another study was done. They did a study on the effects of almonds and the consumption and how it affected the wrinkles. And where did they come up with this idea? Well, it was sponsored by the Almond Board, company that, the Almond Association of America. Population studies have found that healthy diets are associated with less facial wrinkles, like avoiding things like meat and junk foods and saturated fats. And a fruit-predominant pattern was associated with fewer wrinkles, and also eating things like vegetables and soy products appeared to be protective. Wine, even though it's made with grapes, actually made the problem worse. So the thought process is that if you're eating a lot of alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, you're getting a lot of what's called oxidative stress. Now, oxidation is when things rust. I'll put it simple. You put a piece of metal outside and rain, and it's exposed to environment and oxygen, it starts to break down. Same sort of thing happens in your body. You have oxidative stress that eats away at the connective tissue and allows wrinkles to form. So they found, too, that if you ate a lot of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds, you had a lot of antioxidant reactions, and that seemed to slow down that whole process. So many benefits of this anti-inflammatory diet. It can protect you from sun damage. It can improve collagen production. It can help your DNA repair better. So once again, no downside to eating more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Lots of downside if you're eating high stressful foods like alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. So the bottom line is that eating healthier may reduce wrinkling, and it can actually save the lives of people who are doing it from chronic diseases as a side effect. And you'll probably lose weight. So once again, I propose there's no downside to eating a good diet. Brain works better, less wrinkles, slow down the aging process, lose weight, have more fun, better digestion, better romance. Everything is positive to eating a plant-based diet. The only downside to eating a plant-based diet is that the bad food tastes good. And so if you can get over that one simple little hurdle, I want to live longer, have more energy, reduce my risk of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, obesity, urinary issues, sexual dysfunction. I want to reduce all of that, and I just want to give up the flavor of those amazing chips that are loaded with monosodium glutamate that stimulate the tongue, stimulate the umami taste buds, and make food taste so much more savory. So if you could just say, I'm willing to sacrifice that one moment, that 10 seconds of pleasure for a lifetime of health, this becomes really easy. So what you eat has a direct impact on your aging. Studies have found more fruits and vegetables, like we said. People that eat prunes, apples, and tea seem to be in a particularly good mood more often. Cross-section studies found that they age slower. And people who ate more meat and barbecuing, many times are out in the sun. I mean, that's what they joked about. They said, you know, if you're eating more fruits and vegetables, you might be inside. You might protect yourself because you're smarter. If you're eating a lot of meats and dairy products, you're out in the sun barbecuing. But either way, it's all about the food. Now, why almonds? Again, it was paid for by the Almond Board. And they found that those who in the control group, the nut group, were given 2 ounces of nuts a day. That's about 2 palmfuls of nuts. And the control group were given nut-free snacks instead of the almonds. They did high-resolution facial pictures before and after, and boom, they found the almond group were significantly decreased wrinkle severity compared to the control group after just 16 weeks. So if you ate almonds or not almonds, more almonds would show that there were less wrinkles. The study demonstrates the daily almond consumption may reduce wrinkle severity. Now, they used a relatively large dose, 2 ounces a day, where you can get cardiovascular protective benefits from just a half an ounce a day, so just a couple of nuts a day. So who knows, they might have gotten the same results with less wrinkles if they ate less almonds, but they did it with 2 ounces a day. Nice thing about healthy foods, they don't just have good side effects, they help reduce all diseases across the board, and now studies have shown it can actually help prevent against facial wrinkling and reduce the risk of heart disease. So another trick about staying young, kind of falls in the same category, is don't eat the bad food, eat the good food. Another thing we want to do to stay young is make sure that our body stays mobile. The joints are designed for mobility. They're designed for motion. So if a bone moves out of place, whether it's in your spine, your hip, your knee, your elbow, the bones are going to lock or become fixated, we call it. That's going to affect swelling, more swelling. It can cut off the blood supply somewhat. And if the bones are out of alignment, they rub up against each other and they wear out. And if you ever heard the term arthritis, I'm sure you have, osteoarthritis specifically is a mechanical problem. Bones are out of place, rubbing up against each other. So what do we do about that? Put the bones back in place. So not only chemically can we slow down the aging process, we can also slow down the aging process physically. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, leg pain, sciatica, headaches, numbness, tingling, muscle weakness, these are all signs that most likely there's bones out of place pinching nerves. And if bones are out of place pinching nerves, the simplest, easiest, least expensive, safest, most logical approach would be put the bones back in place. That's what chiropractic care is. It's putting the bones back in place. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, folks, come see us. Let us do an evaluation, and let's start putting those bones back in place. Now, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, which I think you should, in the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. You can go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com, and book an appointment. Don't waste time. Do it now. And normally the first visit is $912. We've reduced that for my listeners to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on a follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The x-rays alone are going to cost you way more than that, and yet we do all of that. And then if we determine you are a candidate for treatment, we'll say, hey, listen, this is what we found. This is what we think we should do. Whatever you decide to do is totally up to you. We don't hard sell or anything like that. But I know, after 38, 39 years of doing this, I know that the missing link in healthcare is normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. At our offices, we can offer help in all 3 of those fields. So if you're ready to get well, drjoe.com. We accept people with all insurances. It depends what your insurance covers, but we accept you. And still about 40 to 50% of our patients don't have insurance or have $6,000, $10,000 deductibles. We have plans available. It's extremely affordable. There's no reason why you shouldn't be getting your spine checked, your joints checked, your digestive system checked, and your diet. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, drjoe.com. And the minimum supplements, regardless of what else you do, the minimum supplements you should take are Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're 2 powders. They taste great. They're available on the website. Just go to the store tab at drjoe.com. You can order them. We'll ship them to you, or you can come pick them up. We have offices, again, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. drjoe.com. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back. Part 1 done. Questions?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, you'll think these are funny. So, the first one is meat good for you?
Is meat good for you? I just spent a half hour saying no. So, no. What else?
So, what are your thoughts on seed oils versus on natural fats like butter?
What kind of oils?
They were asking about seed oils versus natural fats, and I guess an example of natural fats was butter.
Okay, well, seed oil is a natural fat too. Any type of processed oil is not good for you. So, whether it's canola oil or it's even olive oil. Now, I use a little bit of olive oil periodically, but the more processed the oil is, the worse it is. So the best oils would be avocado oil, coconut oil, and olive oil. The worst oils would be soybean oil, corn oil, vegetable oils, canola oils. Those would be horrible. So the liquid oils are not good for you. So use as little as possible. The animal fats we just spent a half hour talking about are the worst because they're the saturated fats that can clog up your brain. And study after study have shown that the saturated fats are bad for your heart, your lungs, your liver, your spleen, your kidneys. So, yeah, so as little processed oil as possible, but animal products, absolutely no. Okay, what else? Okay, those are easy ones. Okay, all right. Let me take another sip of my tea. And we're ready for part 2. Ready? There we go. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you're staying with us, thanks for staying. If you're just joining us, welcome. What we're talking about today are secrets to staying young. In the first half of the show, we talked about the best and worst foods for brain function, and we talked about the best and worst foods for wrinkle production. And strangely enough, they were the same thing. The best foods for brain function would be fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. The best foods to reduce wrinkles or prevent wrinkles would be fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. The worst foods for brain function and for production of wrinkles would be animal proteins and animal fats. So meat, butter, cheese, yogurt, eggs, ice cream. And then also we said how you cook it has a lot to do with it. If you dry cook the meat, which means broiling it, baking it, you create something called advanced glycated end products. AGE is what it's advanced glycated end products, AGEs. And these AGEs, when they get into the body, really affect the brain in an adverse way and also cause wrinkles to form because they get into the collagen, they attack the collagen, and the collagen is the thing that keeps your skin tight and nice. And so if you lose that collagen, that connective tissue, the skin starts to wrinkle. So I want to talk now about more secrets to staying young because my thought process is this. The only way we're going to win this game of life is to play it for as long as possible and do it well and be healthy. I have patients come in all the time and I look at them and I think, wow, that person looks horrible. And then I look at their age and I go, oh my God, they're younger than me. Every day. It happens every day. I have patients coming in. I had a patient come in the other day and she couldn't even speak. Her acid reflux was so bad. She was being fed through a tube. She couldn't speak. She looked awful. Obviously she was urinating in diapers. I mean, it was just terrible. And I thought, what a tragedy for this woman in her golden years to be living this life. And then I looked at her age, and she was a couple years younger than me. And I thought, wow, that really stinks to wrap up this life like that. I want to wrap it up on my terms. Did it my way, as Frank Sinatra from Hoboken, New Jersey said. So we want to give you as many secrets as we can to stay as young as possible. And if you look good and have good brain function, chances are you're healthy all over the place. You're going to save a ton of money on healthcare costs. So you'll have lots of money to grow old. So we have to do several things. One of them is protect your DNA. Now, in your cell, the cells have something called DNA. And DNA is a list of chemicals helically round around each other. And they make you who you are. So your DNA determines that you have brown hair and I have, somebody else's blonde hair and blue eyes and brown eyes and tall and short or male or female, or even your personality traits, your risk of getting diseases. So the DNA is you. And the nice part is that about 10% of your DNA determines your health fate. 90% you have control over. And so there's genetics, what you inherited from your family, but then there's something called epigenetics. Epigenetics is genetic influences outside of your DNA. So what does that look like? How about chemicals you're exposed to? How about your diet? How about people you hang out with? How about your social beliefs, your religious beliefs? This is called epigenetics. And this is what has about 90% impact on your health. So we have to take control of our epigenetics. We can't control the 10% of our genetics. We can control, in many cases, the 90% of our epigenetics. So look at your diet. We know that eating alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener increases your risk of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, obesity. We talked about cognitive function, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, wrinkles, aging, sexual function. So you have control of not eating what I call the 7 deadly sins of nutrition, or at least cut back on the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. That's the easiest thing you can do. You know what, Doc? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have dinner tonight. I'm going to try to make the best choice possible. So let's assume you and I go to a restaurant. And let's assume we go to a steakhouse, steak and seafood. And we walk in, and you look at the menu, and everything is steak and seafood and gumbos and fried and battered and dipped. And we say, okay, this probably isn't going to be the best food for me from an epigenetic standpoint and how it's going to affect my DNA. So maybe we're going to look at the side dishes. Well, they have a side dish of broccoli, they have a side dish of mushrooms, side dish of baked potato. You know what? I'm going to have that as my meal. I've been eating right for 36, 37 years now. I've never missed a meal. I've been on cruises. I've been a speaker at conferences in Las Vegas and Atlanta and New York, and I've never missed a meal, ever, because there's always something as long as you know how to look. If I looked at that seafood menu initially, I'd say there's nothing for me to eat. Well, let's dig a little deeper. Well, one of the side dishes they have is steamed vegetables, corn on the cob. Okay, well, I'm going to start piecing together my own meal. And the cool part about that is you're going to save a ton of money. It's so much cheaper to eat healthy. So you got to protect the DNA. And we do that through environmental exposures, and we do that with dietary changes. Now at night, I even have a little clock, a little timer on my Wi-Fi at my house, and it shuts off at 10 o'clock. And I just shut off my Wi-Fi. In the morning when I wake up, you can set the clock to automatically turn it back on, or I can just wake up and plug it in. And because Wi-Fi has electromagnetic frequencies, and this is something that we didn't have to worry about 20 and 30 years ago. Now we do. And so that's a real simple thing that you can do. Now, some of you may say, well, it's perfectly safe. I don't care. What harm is there to shut off the Wi-Fi at night? None. It's free. And even if it does nothing, so what? I'd rather err on the side of caution. It does do a lot, by the way. But I had somebody argue with me. Well, it's safe. It wasn't safe. The government wouldn't let it out there. Well, okay. You leave your Wi-Fi on at night then. But we got to protect the DNA. Healthy habits can help slow the aging process at the cellular level. Also, your attitude. 80-year study found that people who are conscientious, meaning they pay attention to detail, think things through, and try to do what's right, live longer. They do more for their health and to make choices, and it helps build better relationships in their life, but also helps the environment. Little things. Now, when I first started doing these things, these acts of gratitude, I thought it was really stupid. I grew up in New Jersey, grew up on the streets. I was a thug, had long hair and a beard. I was 210 pounds, drove a customized van with a mural on the side and mag wheels. And so when I got into this woo-woo, airy-fairy stuff, I thought, it's a bunch of crud. So then I said, I'm going to try doing one thing a day that I can never get repaid for. And it was pretty cool. Now it's a habit. I can't walk through the grocery store, and if there's paper on the floor, I can't not pick it up. If there's lettuce in the produce aisle, I can't push it to the side. I can't not push it to the side. So I push it to the side, and maybe somebody didn't slip and fall. And maybe somebody didn't break their hip. and maybe somebody was able to keep their job and raise their family. Maybe not. But there's no downside to doing these little acts of kindness. Opening the door, picking up trash, returning the cart at the grocery store. I saw a great meme one day, and it said, no CEO, and it was a cart sitting in the middle of a parking lot. And they said, no CEO has ever done this, left a cart in the middle of it. Because successful people do successful things. And it's not just on a high level, it's on a everyday level. My father was deaf, and he used to wave at children. Always smile and wave at them. And I always thought as a kid, that's just weird. I cannot walk past a kid and not smile and wave at them now. Can't do it. And it's very simple. It's very innocent. I don't stop. I don't talk to them. I don't get creepy. I just go, hey, and I walk past. So every little thing that you can do, every little positive action that you can do, now studies have shown help you live longer. So it's not just, you're not only giving, you're getting. That's a pretty good deal right there. So play to win. Do things that are great. Having friends is really important. I remember my mom in the latter years of her life, we'd sit and we'd talk, and she'd say, I wish I had friends. I'm so lonely. And I talk to patients, and they say the exact same thing my mother said. I'm so lonely. So old people don't have ways to make friends. I mean, think about it. When you were in high school, you had ways to make friends. You were in college. If you raised children, you had the kids' parents, and you had a commonality. And then suddenly, you become old, and life has drifted away, and everybody's gone out and done their things. Even your kids have gone out and done their things. And so you don't have social interaction like you used to. And that's really detrimental to your health. And so keeping friends is really important. Now, the challenge we have as we get older is, how do you make friends? You can't just walk up to people and say, hi, want to go on a play date? You can't do that. It's a little creepy. So you got to think of things that you can do to interact. One of the things I do, which I love, of course, is to have a pet practice. May not be friends, but I have constant social interaction. Doing radio, of course, people recognize my voice and they say, hey, you're Dr. Joe. And so that's kind of fun too. That never gets old, by the way. And so having social interaction is so important. So you see the jokes about the mother saying, oh, when are you going to come visit me? It's not just about her being needy. It's about her having needs, I guess, to actually fulfill that gap in her social life, or his social life, your dad. And so it's really important to take the time and spend time with those people that are older in your life and go out and do things. Find something that you have in common with. I'm Italian. I know in Atlanta there's an Italian-American society. I could go to the Italian-American society by myself and be welcomed because I'm part of the clan. So find things that you find interesting. If you're vegetarian, go to vegetarian meetup groups. If you own dogs, you can go to dog walking parties. So try to find things where you can interact with other people. It's so important for brain function and also to slow down the aging process. And that's what we're talking about today. Secrets to staying young. Now, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, if you're just tuning in. And we're giving you the secrets to staying young. Now, when you do make friends, you should be old enough to choose your friends wisely. If you are overweight and you hang out with overweight people, that's not a good thing because you're all going to support each other. And I want you to have friends that support you, but not in your bad habits, only in your good habits. So be careful about that. Make better decisions. I think you'll be very pleased when you do things like that. So think about that. If you're hanging out with other smokers and you're a smoker, well, that's not going to help your smoking. Now, if you're all working to quit, it's a group to quit smoking, that might be a good thing. But start making good decisions in your life. And of course, quitting smoking is probably one of the best things you can do to expand your life. Now, I work in media, as you know. And in media, some people still smoke. I'm amazed. I don't see cigarette smoke anywhere else except when I'm at certain media events. And the addiction, as you know, is real. So if you have an addiction, I had somebody call the show the other day. She can't quit her sugar. She can't quit her diet sodas. She can't give up this. Go to my website, drjoe.com, and type the word addiction in the search bar. We did a really good show on the research of what addiction is, how it affects the brain, and nucleus accumbens. How nucleus accumbens releases dopamine. Dopamine gives you pleasure, and so you want to perpetuate that pleasure release. And then we talk about things that you can do to calm that down. We do something, in fact, I've done it with patients as a group already in the past, and I'm sure we'll do it again in the future, is we do something called a 21-day detox. And it's supplements, it's protein powders, it's supplements, it's detoxifying supplements to clean the bowels out. Of course, Super Green's an essential source. I make part of that. And it's amazing. Because after like the third day, everyone reports, well, doc, I don't have much of an appetite anymore. I don't feel like eating anything. Because when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And when I can front load you on high quality of nutrition and clean out the bowels and get the junk out of the system, the body reboots itself. And that's what's really cool. And so one of the things we can do to stay young is eat less food. We call it eating like an Okinawan. There's parts of the world called blue zones. And blue zones are where people live the longest. And Okinawa, Japan is one of them. Loma Linda, California is another one. I'll explain why in a second. There's a village up in mountains of Russia. It's another blue zone. And people live, on a good amount of them live to be over 100. And all of them, across the blue zones, across the board, wherever you are in the world, there's one commonality. It's not environment. It's not geography. It's not religion. It's not past history. They all eat essentially a plant-based diet. That's it. There's your key to the blue zone. Eat a plant-based diet. And now they're not all vegan necessarily. Like in Okinawa, they eat some fish. But generally speaking, it's a plant-based diet. So why wouldn't you do that? The answers are here. It's not like we doctors have some secrets that we sit in the back room and talk about. No, the answers are pretty clear. So changing to a plant-based diet is the key. And the minimum supplements I believe everybody should be taking would be Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're two powders. They taste great. We're looking into put them in a pill form because some people say, well, doc, they're powders. I got to shake it up with some coconut milk or almond milk or plant-based milk. We're looking to put it in pill form. But you're going to have to take about 17 pills to get a dose. Now, we're going to do a survey with our patients. And if you're willing to pay the extra cost and take the pills, I'll put them in a pill form for you. But I try to keep it as affordable as possible for you so that you can get all the benefits. That's what's nice. But minimum supplements, Super Greens and Essential Source, they're on the website, drjoe.com. We can ship them to you. We're happy to ship them anywhere we can in the world. That's legal. Or if you're in the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. You can come by and pick them up. And that'll save you some shipping costs. Not a lot, but it'll save you some cost too. But we want to make sure you're getting the best possible products at the best possible prices and keep it as affordable as possible. So another trick, of course, eating a plant-based diet is making sure you're getting high-quantity nutrients, quantity and quality. And Super Greens and Essential Source is the quickest, easiest way to do that. I can't imagine why the whole world doesn't take Super Greens and Essential Source. I've always said that if I can do a study on the world and give the world Super Greens and Essential Source every day for 2 months and see what happens, I predict the world would change dramatically for the better. So many people have brain malfunctions. They have diseases. They have gas, bloating, diarrhea, neurological issues, and they just struggle through life. Every day sucks. And we start giving them nutrients like that, the body starts to heal itself. I don't know if it'll ever work. That's my prediction. That's what I'd like to see happen. So I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about secrets to staying young. And, of course, supplementation, I believe, is huge. Vitamin D, especially in the wintertime. 5 drops of Dr. Joe's vitamin D. It's the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever buy. Nitric oxide. Nitric oxide drops dramatically as we get older. I take nitric oxide supplements every day. Helps my circulation, helps my energy, helps my muscle tone, helps my brain work. Everything changes when you get those nutrients in your body that you had when you were younger. And because we don't absorb nutrients like we used to, we have to be more careful as we get older. So minimum would be Super Greens and Essential Source. We talked in the last segment about joint mobilization, keeping the body mobile. Because flexibility and mobility is life. Lack of mobility is death. And so keeping those joints mobile is the key. So moving around, exercising, yoga. But if a joint is out of place and it locks out of place, that's when you need chiropractic care. Chiropractic care is the only profession in the world where the doctors are trained to mobilize the joints specifically put the bones back in place in a specific direction, not just rack and crack, but to actually specifically move a bone in a specific direction for a specific purpose to unpinch the nerve. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling, sciatic pain, if you've ever been in a car accident, ever, the spine is damaged. Most likely, by far, the most common cause is bones out of place pinching nerves. So if you'd like to come see us, and we can do a nutrition evaluation, we can do a digestion evaluation, we can do a spinal evaluation, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. We would love to be your doctors. So if you have a health issue, go to the website, book it right now. Normally the first visit is $912. We've reduced that for my listeners to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, the follow-up visit going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The x-rays alone are going to cost you way more than that anywhere else. And then if you do have something, we're going to talk about, hey, maybe we should do nutrition. Maybe we should do chiropractic care. Maybe we need to adjust your stomach because you have acid reflux. We can pull the stomach away from the diaphragm in most cases. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Every day that goes by, the aging process is getting worse and worse and worse. So mobilize the joints, eat the right foods, stay away from the foods that cause brain function and wrinkles and oxidative stress, and watch what happens. It's pretty cool. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe, drjoe.com. And if you're ever in a car accident, please, if the car's damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. So please come see us right away if you're in a car accident, because we got to get the healing processes started right away. And the insurance company, of course, will start to jerk you around. The insurance companies will say, well, you weren't hurt, so you didn't go to the doctor, so you weren't hurt. No, I didn't have a car because my car got smacked up. We don't care. You didn't go to the doctor right away. So the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to settle a case. No matter how long it's been, though, even if it's 20 years, the case is settled, still come see us and let's check that out. Other things to stay young, of course, is getting sunlight, but not too much. So the best thing you can do is get about 10 or 15 minutes of sunlight every day until your skin starts to feel a little warm. That's when you've had enough sunlight for the day. Now, of course, that's in warm climates. If it's winter, you're not going to get enough UVB rays. The UVB rays are the ones that interact with the skin and create cholesterol to turn into vitamin D. And so get out in the sun. Now, after 10 or 15 minutes, you can use sunscreen, but be careful. It should be zinc oxide, and that's really about it. Anything else with other chemicals in it can actually increase your risk of cancer. Okay? So zinc oxide is actually, simple rule. If you put sunscreen on, it should leave a white film on you. If it doesn't leave a white film on you, chances are it's not a good sunscreen. Okay? So titanium dioxide or zinc oxide are the only two that you should really use. Anything else is going to put a lot of chemicals in there. Okay? Yes. Allison has something to say.
Yes, everyone should be looking for zinc oxide or mineral sunscreens. If there's sunscreens that have oxybenzone in it or octinoxate, how do you pronounce that? Avoid those because those will just not be good for your skin at all and can be irritating for your skin and, cause cancer.
Can actually increase your risk of skin cancer, yeah. I have a cousin, and she lived down the Jersey Shore, and she was out in the sun every day when she was young, and she always put on her sunscreen, and sure enough, man, she's just riddled with skin cancer. So, yeah, the sunscreen isn't necessarily going to protect that in many cases because the chemicals can interact with the sun, too. So zinc oxide or titanium dioxide are the two chemicals you want to use. But again, make an appointment to come see us. We can do a workup for you. We can do a whole custom nutrition plan. But at least start with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Vitamin D in the winter, absolutely. If you're over 30 years old and you have stress in your life, I would say nitric oxide. If you have low blood pressure, don't take nitric oxide. Normal or high blood pressure, nitric oxide, absolutely. The results are just great. You feel great, lots of energy, brain function. I take B vitamins. I take adrenal support. I take essential omega-3 fatty acids. All of those are on the website, drjoe.com. I cannot imagine, and I think of this constantly throughout the day, why the world isn't taking supplements on a regular basis. I cannot fathom it. Because even though I eat a really good diet, 60%, 80% raw, I have at least one salad a day, I eat very good foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. I've been vegan for 36 years now. I still take supplements. And I believe that that's why when I look at people my age and I go, wow, you look like horrible, Why am I as young and as functional as I am? Because I take care of myself. I don't have great genetics. It's the secret. Folks, I'm almost out of time. If you want to make an appointment, if you have any questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Happy to answer any questions for you. Follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito. We post every single day. You will get so much free information on health, absolutely free, at Dr. Joe Esposito. I want you to do Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you're a podcast junkie, go to your podcast service, whatever your favorite is, and type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. And you can search the website. We post podcasts, by the way, twice a week. And if you go to the website, just type in the search bar what you're looking for. Chances are we've done a podcast, an article, a research paper on it. So the website, drjoe.com, you can order supplements, make appointments, a great source of information. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, drjoe.com. We'll catch you next time. Okay. What you got?
So, do you sell any supplements that are helpful for anxiety or stress-prone people?
Absolutely. Go to the website, type the word anxiety in the search bar, and listen to the show we did. Most anxiety, in fact, in all the years I've been in practice, all anxiety patients I've ever seen, and I see them literally multiple times a day, it's a digestive issue. You're not breaking down your proteins into amino acids. The amino acid, specifically tryptophan, becomes serotonin in the brain, and serotonin is the secret to anxiety, getting more serotonin. So if you're not digesting your food, you're not able to produce the serotonin that you need in many cases, and that leads to anxiety. So every case I've ever seen in my 38 years, whatever it is, 39 years in practice, has had a digestive problem that they didn't fix. So Super Greens, Essential Source, digestive enzymes, all of those would be good. Glutathione is great for the liver. But really coming to see us so we can check the digestive system and fix it would be your black belt move. Okay, brown belt move would be Super Green, Essential Source, digestive enzymes, and glutathione. Black belt move, come see us and let's fix it. So, what else?
What is your favorite way to drink Super Greens and Essential Source?
I like it with whatever plant milk is on sale, and I just shake it up, and first thing in the morning I drink it. I actually like it with chunks in it. I like to chew the chunks, but that's good. We also have a shaker bottle, too, you can get, and the shaker bottle dissolves the chunks, and you might want to try that. But any type of plant-based milk. Now, in the summer, many times I'll throw a half a frozen banana in there and make like a smoothie out of it, but in the winter it's too cold for me, so I just do it that way. So, and I like the mint flavor Super Greens the best, too, by the way. There's mint, plain, and hemp. Mint is my favorite, hemp is my second favorite, and plain is my least favorite. So, what else?
What are the supplements that you take daily?
Oh my gosh, Super Green, Essential Source, nitric oxide, B complex, adrenal support, a men's hormone support, estrogen regulator, omega-3 fatty acids. Those are the ones that I take of ours. And then I take something called Tongkat Ali, which helps build my testosterone. And I also take a cruciferous vegetable supplement. Both of those are from Standard Process because my testosterone was converting into estrogen. And cruciferous vegetables have diindolylmethane, which helps prevent testosterone from converting into estrogen. And since I've been doing that, I've noticed my muscle tone has gotten a lot better. My testosterone levels are going up. So I do my general plan, and then I take my custom plan for me, which is my male hormone support. So that's what I take. Estrogen regulator is diindolylmethane, too. So if you're childbearing years or a man, estrogen regulator is good. If you're menopausal or perimenopausal, do not take estrogen regulator. It's not for you. Okay. What else?
What are your thoughts on hormone treatments for chemo?
Hormone replacement therapy? I'm not a big fan of hormone replacement therapy for men or women. And the reason is when you take it, your body says, ooh, I've got plenty of testosterone, let's say, so I'm not going to make any more. And for men, one of the side effects is your testicles shrivel up because they shrink because they just don't make testosterone like they need to because you're getting it from an outside source. So what we try to do is we do a test called the Dutch test on our patients. And with the Dutch test, we monitor their hormones. And then we're able to customize a supplement protocol based on the Dutch test. It's a urine test. And so we like to not guess. We like to customize a plan for the patients when it comes to hormones and try to avoid external hormone replacement therapy if we can. We can't always do it, but if we can, that's what we try to do. And it works really well in most cases. So, what else?
This is the last one. It's just from me. What are your thoughts on a lot of gynecologists placing women or younger girls on birth control to help with like acne or just their, hormones in general to regulate those?
Sure.
Because I feel like a lot of times it does not help and it really just places a band-aid over the issue.
Right.
And then once they get off of that, it comes back 10 times worse.
Yes. And again, I'm not an endocrinologist, but I try to find out where the hormone imbalance is. Putting you on birth control pills is quick, easy, and cheap. It's a really easy diagnosis. Here, take birth control pills. But the side effects, I feel, far outweigh the benefits in most cases. So if you have heavy periods, if you have cramping, if you have zits, I like to find out why. And that's why we do a Dutch test on you and try to find out where the dysregulation is in the hormones and try to correct the cause, not just treat the symptoms. So if you don't just treat the symptoms, like you said, when you come off the birth control pills, they come right back again. So I'm not knocking them. They just don't know. They're not trained in the biochemistry and nutrition like I am. I'm not trained in inserting an IUD. So we all have our professions, but I like to stay in our lane. And unfortunately, a lot of doctors don't stay in their lane. Or they don't know. I can even say they don't stay in the lane. They have no idea that these things even exist. And so that's why so many doctors come to us with patients and for advice themselves. I got a message the other day when I was on the air, and it was from a doctor. I don't know who it was. And they said, how can I reach out to Dr. Joe? I've never heard this information before. This is incredible. And I responded. I said, well, here's my email. Here's my phone number. Call me if you want to. So, yeah, it's exciting because doctors are not malicious. They're not doing this to hurt people. They just don't know. Famous guy once said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Well, that's what this show is all about, giving you information so that you now know what to do. Any other questions?
No, that's all.
All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you Sunday night, 6 to 9 on WSB Radio. Any questions, drjoe.com.